Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started. My name is Richard Collenberg. I'm a senior fellow at the Century Foundation, and I'm really pleased to be here for this discussion of education and economic policy in an age of political polarization. Is there a good way forward? So I guess we'll find out. The Shanker Institute has held a number of really stimulating discussions of education policy and economic policy. But this session is really meant to widen the lens and to consider the larger political context in which we find ourselves. Some of you may know I wrote a biography of Al Shanker called Tough Liberal a number of years ago. And when he was president of the AFT from 1974 to 1997, he forged a number of political relationships across the aisle with business leaders, even with Ronald Reagan on occasion. He would fight Reagan on certain issues like private school vouchers, but then come together on questions of promoting democracy abroad and promoting high academic standards. So I guess the question for the panel today is whether that is possible to do in our current age of a Tea Party and with a press corps which seems to define the term education reformer as someone who is in opposition to teachers and teachers' unions. So we have a world-class panel to enlighten us on these issues. You have your bios in the packet, but I will just very briefly introduce each of them. So starting to my immediate left, Leo Casey is Executive Director of the Albert Shanker Institute, a former Vice President of the United Federation of Teachers in New York City, and a high school teacher with a PhD in political philosophy. And I think it's fair to say he is one of the union movement's leading intellectuals. Next is Rui Teixeira, who's a leading scholar of American politics, a senior fellow at both the Center for American Progress and the Century Foundation, where I am. He's the author of a number of seminal books, including The Emerging Democratic Majority. Whenever I have a burning political question, I walk down the hall and ask Rui, who always has a brilliant analysis. Next is Danielle Allen, who is a world-renowned political theorist, a MacArthur Genius Grant winner, and UPS Foundation Professor of Social Science at the Institute for Advanced Study. In July, she will be headed to Harvard to direct the Edmund J. Safra Center for Ethics. And then finally, we have Norman Ornstein, who is perhaps the nation's leading expert on Congress and a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. His most recent book, written with Tom Mann, is entitled, "It's Even Worse Than It Looks: How the American Constitutional System Collided with the New Politics of Extremism." That seems vaguely relevant to today's discussion. So we'll hear from the four panelists and then take questions. There are index cards on the chairs, so if you can fill those out and then pass them forward, we'll make sure to get as many questions in as possible. For those of you who are watching online, there is a way to ask questions through Twitter with the hashtag #WayForward, all one word. So Leo, will you start us off?